What is going on, everybody? It is me, T-Shroom, in for the Investing Bros. I'm having a good morning. It's been a good morning so far. Whether you're watching at night, in the morning, or maybe you're grabbing lunch, or maybe tucking the kids into bed, good morning. And we're happy to see you here at the Investing Bros. Again, I'm T-Shroom, and I'm going to be getting into Ripple. Ripple has done a very large unlock, and a lot of folks are pulling out their hair trying to figure out what to do. Well, rest assured, we're going to figure it out here together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get too far into the stories here, I do like to take a quick snapshot of where we are on the charts. So we'll be looking at a couple names here, but we'll start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has the potential here on the daily chart to close a candle above some pretty impressive levels here. If Bitcoin, let me zoom in a little bit more, but if Bitcoin can get up here and close this candle above 34.6, that'll be the highest candle close on the daily for Bitcoin in the current era. That would be very, very bullish. And it's looking like so far, it's only 9 a.m. here Eastern Standard Time, but it's looking like we might actually see that. As you can see here, as we zoom out a little bit, Bitcoin has pulled away from the upper band of the Bollinger Band here, but it's still nowhere near that midline of the band on the daily. So it's not really showing that that's a significant gravity, trying to pull it back down. You do have the waning histograms here as they decelerate, and the MACD line's getting a little bit closer here, signaling what could potentially be a movement back to the downside. But Bitcoin, I'd say, still has at least today and maybe tomorrow to try to push back through before the bears kind of step back in and maybe try to take control. But it is Bitcoin. It's a smaller market, right? If whales wanted to step in, they can probably move the price whichever way they want. But right now it looks like a pretty natural, a pretty organic struggle between good old bulls and some good old bears. Well, let's go ahead and check out Ripple. And this might kind of give away Ripple. Let's go ahead and check out XRP. This might kind of give away a little bit of what I'm thinking here and why you shouldn't be afraid, actually, of what's going on over with the unlocks. Is that the price is kind of telling you all you need to know. It's telling you all you need to know. But so let's go ahead and get into that headline here. Ripple unlocks 1 billion XRP as November begins. Wait, that's today. Here is how much XRP they hold. All right, so let's take a look here. It's really quoting kind of this Twitter account here, Whale Alerts. But 1 billion XRP unlocked. According to Whale Alerts, the 1 billion XRP were unlocked in 3 different transactions today on October 1st, exactly after midnight, for the first transaction. A total of 500 million. We don't care about the breakdown. For some reason, they released it in 3 transactions. That's just the way they wanted to do it. And now it's out. The supply is out, right, of that escrow account. And it is out there, and it is getting, exposed to the elements of trading, just like all of its other XRP brothers and sisters have been for a long time. Now, here's why I don't think you should be very bullish on this. Because A, the price is not really reacting to the downside. Now, could there be a delayed reaction? Absolutely, there could be, right? And that is what I would be watching out for. So if we go into the 4-hour here, we can kind of ascertain maybe what are some levels that would be important to watch. So right off the bat, you can see on the daily chart, sorry, not the daily chart, we're here on the 4-hour, you can see that there is a line right here. 55 cents to me is a pretty big psychological number, seems to have been for XRP. That's back down here, right? So probably there'd be something around 58. That coincides with the midline of the Bollinger Band and this high back here. So those are some levels that I would be watching. If those start to get broken, 58 and then 55, then I might be looking to, honestly, probably DCA, right? But you may, if you're in a leveraged position on XRP, especially, I think those are some levels that you may want to try to head for the hills. Not financial advice. But here's kind of for the bulls, for the XRP bulls, for folks who aren't just trading, right? Investors in XRP. Here's a headline that should bring you some pause. This is from January 20th, 17.9 billion in XRP tokens set to be unlocked in 2023. Okay, so they told you. They told you this back in January. You can never really know because there's still some autonomy that the Ripple Labs has in what actually happens here. I don't know how hard baked into the actual blockchain or the protocol this schedule is. I wasn't able to find anything like that. But really, what this means is that this unlock, this 1 billion unlock, is baked in. Right, it's baked in. That's kind of the whole thesis, the whole point of why you shouldn't be overly bearish here on XRP, and why XRP here in the morning of Wednesday, November 1st, is actually, as we crack open a new day, it's actually bidding to the upside. Let's take a look at XRP on the monthly chart just to kind of get an idea of where we've come from and maybe also where we're going. Let me turn off. Well, those go leave that on. Let me turn on the market dynamics here. So as you can see, guys, we're actually starting off November green, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. We had a very big move to the upside back here. Maybe you'll remember why when XRP or Ripple Labs actually beat the SEC. I think it was in July. Yeah, there you go. So right in July, obviously we had a gigantic move to the upside for Ripple, and then very swiftly a move back down. And we've tested, according to the monthly chart, we've tested down as low as 42 cents. 42.9. So, it was, I would say, muted and disappointing to see that XRP only went as high as it did. But that's, this is crypto, and we're not quite in the bull market yet. Will this melt faces in the next bull market? Well, I'll answer that in here in just a second. But the overall thesis here, guys, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, is that I don't think you need to be overly bearish here on XRP. I think that it has had these unlocks, and these unlocks are inflationary. There's no way around that. They're inflationary. However, it looks like it's been baked in, and we know that it's probably been baked in because people trade this up and down every day. There's lots of volume for XRP, and folks have known, investors have known, traders have known about this since January 20th, that there's going to be unlocks all throughout 2023. You think 1 billion unlock is a lot? Try 17.9, right? They've been baking in this inflation, okay? That should tell you as an XRP bull that this is actually a pretty strong project. The fact that they're going to dump this much liquidity on the market in a year, and that it's not getting totally shattered to the downside, that means it's valuable. That means that there's something here that people want to buy, right? Now, let me back up and give my personal opinion. I've kind of just been showing you guys the objective news. I don't think that we talked about it yesterday quite a bit. What's going to be one of the most highest performing coins. And XRP was towards the bottom of that list, right? I tend to think that XRP, it has some proving to do, right? And while you are seeing some good signs on the charts relative to the new supply entering the market, I think that there's so many strong projects out there that are going to be vying for the attention of investors and traders that XRP is going to have to, they're going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat here to try to curry the favor of new investors, especially. But they do have a lot going for them. They do have a lot of institutional buy-in. In the end, from the final analysis, I think they'll be okay. But I just don't know if they're a project that I'm going to be investing a whole lot more in this year. I've actually pared down my investment and swapped it for some degen plays. Believe it or not. So that's kind of the way that I see XRP. I'm not allocating more, but I am holding on to what I have, but it is first to go if I decide to swap into something else, and I'm not adding new money to my portfolio. So that doesn't happen every month, but when it does, that's kind of the psychology there. That's some free alpha. Not financial advice. That's just how I organize my portfolio there. Now, guys, we got a ton of news here. Got a ton of news, and this is the news show. So we're going to get out of the XRP story. Hopefully, you guys have been able to take away some value there. Ultimately, you don't need to be overly bearish, but there's probably better projects to be invested in. And if you don't have any exposure to Bitcoin, but you're in the XRP army, hoorah, right? You need to be very, very careful. And I would say that is a very strange and bad move to be overweight XRP and not have any Bitcoin. That's what I will say. Obviously, still not financial advice, but that is pretty bad. Okay, let's move into the TradFi news here. We got some important updates. Treasury details plan to step up size of bond sales to manage growing debt load and higher rates. So there she is. I don't know if she was speaking in China or if this is just the picture that they used. Oh my gosh, she said this from China? That's a little ominous. But most immediately, the Treasury will auction off $112 billion in debt next week to refund $102.2 billion of notes set to mature November 15th, raising more than $9 billion in extra funds. So the Treasury, U.S. Treasury there, making some moves that are going to absolutely have a few ricochet effects in the bond market. The sale will come in 3 parts. Does this sound familiar? This is very similar to the XRP article that we just read. The sale will come in 3 parts, starting Tuesday with $48 billion in 3-year notes, with subsequent days featuring respective sales of $40 billion in 10-year notes, with $24 billion in 30-year bonds. Okay. The total sale matched some estimates around Wall Street in recent days. So that's at least good that the estimates are kind of being matched. So the market has priced this in for to some extent. So there won't be as much tumult. There won't be as much volatility in a day that you also have this story. Here's everything to expect from the Fed's policy announcement Wednesday. Now, all stars are kind of lining up for this to be a snoozer. I don't even really hear people predicting that this is even going to be exceptionally hawkish. Usually, with kind of the conditions that we're in right now, you might have Jerome Powell come out and make some hawkish comments, have some hawkish rhetoric, meaning that he's kind of spook the markets, trying to spook the markets. Well, that's not the right language. Hawkish, if you don't know what that means, is basically trying to say, hey, we may not be done yet, right? Trying to be the bad cop while he's also being the good cop by not raising rates. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I didn't confuse you more than I helped you there with that one. But ultimately, this is going to be the expectation here is that there is a snoozer. Let's see what CNBC has to say. There's virtually no chance policymakers will make a move either way on interest rates when the Fed concludes its 2-day meeting Wednesday. Snoozer. What investors will watch instead are the signals that come from Jerome Powell and the rest of the Fed Open Market Committee, FOMC, about where they're leaning to the future, right? We do not get a SIP on this one. We do not get the breakdown with the new dot plots and all that we got last month or last print. I don't think we're going to be getting that today, but we will get remarks from Jerome Powell and the rest of the Federal Open Market Committee. I don't know what that means. I don't know why it's saying the rest of the Federal Open Market, because we don't usually hear from the rest of them. Maybe they're having some kind of panel, or maybe CNBC doesn't know how to use English properly. I'm not sure about that, but I will be watching, absolutely. At least I'll be watching some of the Twitter reactions, but this is in all like I said, all stars are kind of pointing to this to be a snoozer. Not going to be too much to take away here. All right, we've got a lot of news, but briefly I want to skip on over to the chat here and see what's going on. I'm seeing King D and Bedridden. Bedridden, what is up, my man? King D, hope you're doing well. Got CS in the chat. Army Piper said, dude, mute your system. Audio playing through Ecamm. Your Discord is going nuts. Thank you. Thank you, Piper. Eric Wallen said, hey, everyone. So that's good. Kasha Cat said, GM, T-Shroom. Yes, GM indeed. GS said, ugh, I'm so not ready for snow. It must be getting warm. It must be getting chilly where you live there, Gia. Brian D said, we got some snow last night. Winter really setting in. You got to love it. So snow is falling, it sounds like, in the north. I don't know exactly where you all live, but that's probably a good thing. But there you go. There you go. Snow is falling down here in Florida. I do have my hoodie on. It's a little chilly. Okay, but it is not. It's definitely far from snowing. But that's Florida for you. Let's move back into TradFi here before we get into some more crypto headlines. Private sector payrolls rose 113,000 in October, less than expected. Okay, so the payrolls rose less. Okay, what does that mean? That means that less people are getting paid than was expected. ADP report companies, just read that one. Education and health services led with 45,000 new jobs. Other notable gainers include trade, transportation and utilities, financial activities, leisure, and hospitality. So honestly, rose less than expected. Okay, so that's signaling maybe some weakness in the labor market. That's one data point. Ultimately, by now, the Fed probably has already made their decision on whether they're going to cut or not. Behind closed doors, I would say that this data print is not going to push the needle. The expectation... If the expectation was 89 and it only came over this amount here, 113, that's not enough really to I think push it one way or another for the FOMC. So, this is ultimately it's bearish for the overall economy, very slightly, right? This is just one data print in, many for the year. So we'll move on. All right, Solana soars on Amazon integration news. Could SOL price rally another 90%? I believe Tim is covering this one in depth here, but this is pretty exciting. I mean, it's a big announcement for Solana to be partnering with Amazon, and Solana looks like it's reaching its first meaningful resistance, according to this article. They've got it labeled as meaningful resistance here. I'm sure that's not inaccurate. It's just kind of funny wording. So very, very interesting. Let's see if we can find a little bit more information here on what a kickoff. Breaking Point 2023, Google BigQuery Live. Solana is integrating with AWS Node Runner. Jump Firedance live on testnet. So is this, they make an announcement that they're partnering with Amazon at a Google event? That seems a little questionable, to say the least. That's kind of funny. But in any case, this could be very big. Could be very big for Solana. And depending on how much real beef there is to this story, no pun intended, there could actually be a decent amount of upside for Solana. I'll leave Tim's chart gazing to him, and I will not jump over to Solana's chart for this one. But Vitalik Buterin transfers 100 ETH worth 181,000 to Coinbase. What could this mean? This is a up-to-date article. Vitalik, let's see. It says he looks like he's previously Vitalik stated that he had not sold ETH for personal benefit since 2018, mainly donating it to a charity or nonprofit organization. But that's a lot of ETH. It's a decent amount of ETH. It's not like a ton. But look, he's got to pay his bills, right? I'm just kidding. I don't think he's selling to pay his bills. I think more than likely he's doing something that he's done before, which is like giving to charity or something like that. I didn't see anything really kind of rattling around in the headlines that this is anything to worry about. But he did do it, right? It's objective. You can look at the chain analytics and find that on chain. So not too much to see there, but it happened. FTX unstakes SOL worth millions. Okay, is Solana bull run in danger? So this would be a pretty bearish headline here. I don't know how much it is, though. Let's see. It's worth millions. Let's see if they put a specific number onto it. All right, Solana shows promise, surging more than 23% over the last 7 days, showing potential. Yes, very good, very good. All right, yeah, I'm not seeing too much of a number here jumping out at me. FTX funds have continued to move exchanges since our last update, and it's got all the coins that it owns. Okay, so let's see if we can find Solana's not listed. Awesome. Perfect. That's exactly what we want in an article about Solana. All right. So not really sure. Okay, here we go. Additional 1.6 million Solana, valued at 57.6 million, started the process of unstaking yesterday. So that is a lot. That is a lot of Solana. Yeah. So I would say that's significant. But they haven't sold. They've just unstaked. So, Solana's been getting, I'd say, I'm tempted to go over to the charts. I would have to say, just go ahead and defer to Tim's analysis from today. Perhaps Piper will do some Solana analysis after the show today. I'm not sure, but he goes live right at 9:30 in about 10 minutes here. Hopefully he'll do a little bit of Solana TA for us and see if it's overbought and if it has a potential to go ahead and make a move to the downside on this catalyst. All right, let's make a move here over to BlackRock, which is in talks with market makers about liquidity for its spot Bitcoin ETF, CoinDesk says. So this is a pretty big headline. This is another step in the ETF story here. Fund manager Titan BlackRock is in talks with a number of large financial firms that want to provide liquidity for its proposed spot Bitcoin ETF exchange-traded fund if it obtains regulatory approval. Let's see. Trading giant Jane Street, Virtue Finance, Jump Trading, Hudson River have all held discussions with BlackRock about the market mover role for the spot Bitcoin ETF. Such firms play a role in providing liquidity, matching buyers and sellers. Right, we know what liquidity providers are. All right. They did not immediately respond for comment, so they're not releasing to the news what's going on here, or if they're going to seed or not. Let's see. Eleanor Tourette has to say. She's a pretty reliable. I think she works for Fox Business. She's pretty reliable most of the time. All the time, actually, I should say. No reason to believe she's not reliable, guys. She said here, CEO Larry Fink on the Cointelegraph report. I was busy all day. I only heard it an hour ago. It's an example of the pent-up interest in crypto. We're hearing from clients around the world about the need for crypto. Crypto will play the... Don't go to Twitter. Oh, went to Twitter. I wonder how long this is. Crypto will play the role of flight to quality, because it's an old... It's from October 16th. This is an old quote. It's an important quote, okay, but that's not news. So ultimately here, guys, it looks like there's a new step being made, but I'm not seeing a ton of evidence, at least in this article, that's compelling me to think I need to buy more now because of this, right? That has nothing to do with my DCA schedule. That's something separate. But according to this news, I'm not seeing anything that's saying, like, it'd be one thing if Jane Street, right, came out and said, hey, us in Virtue Finance, we're going ahead and we're seeding another 200 million of Bitcoin into the ETF, right? If that was the case, right, then you've got a story. But right here, it doesn't really seems like they're just saying another possibility, which is also what you see in our next article over here. Let me see if I can find it. Got that one. That one's pretty funny. Yeah, here it is. Invesco and Galaxy Spot Bitcoin ETF listed in DTCC site. So this is another, like, okay, yeah, technically it's something that could happen, right, in the ETF narrative, but it's not like a big step forward. It's not a significant step forward. And if you're trading on this, you're either misguided or you're trading an extremely short time frame where you're trying to take advantage of others who are just misguided, right? That's the way that I'm kind of seeing this whole DTCC story, because at the very front end, the first time we saw this acronym, right, I rolled my eyes. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is just some silly thing, and it turns out it's exactly what it is. It doesn't really matter. It is an important step in the process of ETFs and bringing an ETF to market, but ultimately, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the approval from the SEC, which is what matters. Okay, so we're seeing the same thing there, and we're seeing the same thing with the article that I just read about BlackRock. And so, what can you conclude from this? Is that there is FOMO. There are FOMO articles, the opposite of FUD articles, right? The media seems to be motivated, or somebody who's funding the media, these guys over here on the side, paying for the ads down here on the bottom, they're interested in Bitcoin going higher from here, right? Which I am too, but they have a much more short-term interest in that happening. Is that tinfoil hat? A little bit, but there is some truth to that, right? Because they wouldn't be running these if they wanted the price to go lower. Right now, you could make the argument, T-Shroom, they're just reporting the news. Also important, right? Also an important point. You're just doing it to get clicks to sell ads, right? They're also an important point, right? But I think ultimately, with all of that being considered, I do still lean that this is being put out by entities that want Bitcoin to move to the upside. I mean, look at the names of these publications, guys. They are our friends. They are our helping, right? They are helping fight the good fight. But at the end of the day, they do have a narrative. And so all I'm really trying to say is don't spend all your dry powder on these types of headlines, right? If you don't see the value in that, that's okay. That probably means you haven't been in crypto long enough to really appreciate why that's important. But it is. All right, this is the last. We'll end on a pretty funny one here. Before we do, let's get into this one. Bitcoin could hit 150,000 by 2025. This is formerly bearish Wall Street firm Bernstein. So Bernstein, pretty big Wall Street, valuation and analytics firm. They do a lot of that kind of stuff for some of the bigger banks, and people take them seriously, right? So this is this is about it. This is all really you need to know. Again, another entity. Well-timed headlines are not a coincidence here. Again, I'm not upset about it. I want Bitcoin to go higher over the long term. Over the short term, I'm kind of more partial to Bitcoin coming back down and retesting, so that I can deploy I could feel better about deploying some of my bags, some of my dry powder cash bags, right, at these lower levels, right? That's what I want, right? And as an investor, that's probably what you should want too. unless you're fully deployed, in which you're like, let's go to the moon, I'm ready to go, bags are packed, right? But if you're like me and you've been a little bit more patient, and you were also thinking that Head and Shoulders was going to play out from October, then you're probably wanting the price to come back down a little bit. All right. If you know, you know. Let's keep moving here. This was kind of a funny one. Gary Gensler wishes Bitcoin a happy birthday on Halloween. Asks crypto firm to stop tricking investors. So there was a tweet from Gary Gensler. Let's check it out. It's kind of like a crossing the aisle moment for Gary. He knows that he's kind of the opponent of crypto. And here he goes. He's making bringing a little light. And hey, look, I'll come across the aisle and shake your hand here, Gary, with this one. It was funny. If Satoshi Nakamoto went as Satoshi Nakamoto for Halloween, would we be able to tell? Happy 15th anniversary to Satoshi's famous white paper that started crypto. Any crypto companies that are tricking investors should start treating them to compliance with securities laws. Oh, it was fun. You had me in the first half. This is genuinely funny and interesting, right? And then you have a nice little warm note here to kind of try to relate and show that you are, if anything, a Bitcoin maxi, Gary, and you like to have a little fun here, but then you just totally dry it out, right? You totally dry it out with this comment here, and this is why nobody likes you, especially in crypto. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, look, so Gary Gensler, if you're new to crypto, Gary Gensler seems to be positioned to be kind of the villain to crypto, but it's actually kind of bittersweet, because if you watch a lot of his older lectures at I think it was MIT, and then there was a video recently that went viral with him and Hester Pierce, you can see that he really does understand blockchain, unlike Elizabeth Warren, right? Unlike some of the other villains to crypto, Gary does understand crypto and blockchain, but he's to say it nicely, he's a hardcore Bitcoin maxi with maybe a little bit of a soft spot towards Ethereum. But the thing is like, it's not even really that. I think that's saying it pretty nicely. I think much more so he's just adamantly and way out of his jurisdiction, coming down way too hard on crypto at large, right? Which kind of doesn't include Bitcoin. Okay, and that's why you're seeing this tweet, because you read this tweet, he genuinely, there's a sense that he does actually want to celebrate about Bitcoin. And again, listening to all of his lectures, it's hard for me to say that Gary Gensler hates Bitcoin. I don't think that he does. In fact, I think that he's a fan of it. I think he's a fan of the technology. What his motivations for being the fan is, I'm not exactly sure, right? Not exactly sure what the motivations are there, right? But he's trying to level with the Bitcoin community, but ultimately he knows that he's not going to be able to, especially in this climate, and especially if he doesn't approve these ETFs by January 11th. I did actually get some intel yesterday. January 11th is going to be a pretty significant day. I believe that's when the next ARK Invest approval or disapproval is going to be taking place. So I won't say too much more about that because we're very far out from that. But ultimately, guys, we had a lot of fun today. Army Piper's about to go live here at 9:30. Should you sell all of your XRP? Should you sell any of your Solana or XRP? Probably not. I would hold on to what you have. That seems to be what I'm doing. I don't have any Solana, and I regret that. I wish I would have bought a little lower, but I'm also very happy with the bags I do have. Got some great projects that I'm holding on to, and I'm holding on to strong. And this is actually the note that I will end on, guys. Throughout this bear market, we have been very patient, and now we're heading into a bull market. And if you have been wise, if you've been smart, if you've been listening to some level-headed voices like we like to think we are here at the Investing Bros, then you've been buying low. You've been buying coins that are low. And as long as you haven't been buying complete crap coins, right, then you are going to win in this bull market. How can you lose? You can lose by looking at Solana's success this week. Let me use myself as an example. I could lose by looking at Solana's success this week and saying, man, I should have bought Solana. I need to be in Solana. And then I sell my Chainlink, right? Or another coin that I'm positive on and go buy that Solana. And then Solana, just like crypto always does, every asset does, makes a correction, a reversal to the downside, and now I'm down on what I was in profit on, right? So that's how you can lose, is by jumping ship and trying to jump off a train and get on another train, right? Stay on the train you are if you are high conviction, right? Do not sell Bitcoin to jump on the Solana train late, right? Hopefully this is a lesson that makes sense to you. I hope that somebody saves a little bit of money, saves some funds there by avoiding some tragedy. All right, Piper is going to go live here at 9:30, so we're going to let him do just that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and Tim and I will be live today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will love to see you there. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, catch a word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.